Hey everybody. This is a little bit different. I could probably put something on in the background. A bunch of my face. How about that? This is different. I'm going to talk about that at the end because that's not relevant to what we're talking about. What we're talking about today is Ward, Colorado. Because I recently made a trip to Ward, Colorado. I went camping there. And I did this whole thing. I looked it up before and I read a little bit about it and thought, okay, that's interesting. And then I went on Google Maps and kind of explored a little bit and went, okay, that's still interesting and it's kind of cool. And it made for a good spot to go camping. And I went. It's like a trip because it literally was a trip. I went to another place. I stayed there, and I didn't do anything else. It was great for wildlife, basically, kind of. But I didn't learn anything about the place that I was there. And I recently did a different trip, and I learned more and I explored and I did more of the trip stuff. And I went, okay, that feels a little bit more complete. Whereas Ward, Colorado, there's just a whole of like we didn't visit any local establishments for reasons that I went into in the videos there. I was smelly. I was camping. I was doing that. If I'd showered, I probably would have felt fine going in to visit, some of the places. Or maybe there was a library, but it was closed. And it would have just been nice to have a little bit of history to it. And I assume not everywhere we visit is going to be capable of doing something like that. But when possible, we should at least make an effort to explore and learn. And there was just this piece missing from that whole camping trip about Ward, Colorado, which was, about Ward, Colorado. So I did a tiny bit of research, and by that I mean I grabbed a few links, and that's why this is a little bit different. We're just kind of do this live. Where can we start? Well, at Wikipedia. And if we're doing that, because I can't really show the entire web page and things like that, I don't own all rights. It's a whole thing with copyright and stuff like that. So I just added another. You can kind of see along with me. The sources that I'm going to be reading from are live. They're right there. I'm saying what they are. We're looking at them. You can visit them yourself as well. And I'm not trying to show the entire everything. So let's get into it, shall we? Ward. Home rule municipality. What does that mean? Immediately sidetracked. Colorado has 102 cities and towns that are home rule municipalities, which are self-governing under Article 20 of the Constitution of the State of Colorado. Okay, I did know about that a little bit. Anyway, population was 128 at the 2020 census. Not a lot of people there. Town is a former mining settlement founded in 1860 in the wake of the discovery of gold at nearby Gold Hill. Okay, where's Gold Hill, Colorado? Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's further. Wait, really? That's where it was found, in that tiny little spot there? Inside this county, which is here, which is north up. I guess that's still mountains there, maybe? I'm trying to mentally map where. Okay, that map does nothing. And that's how it is. Okay, well, I'm guessing Gold Hill's where they found gold, considering it said the discovery of gold nearby. Anyway, it was once. Really? Ward was once one of the richest towns in the state during the Colorado Gold Rush. When was that? I need to learn more about that. The Pikes Peak Gold Rush. Oh, interesting. Later known as the Colorado Gold Rush. Boom in gold, prospecting mining in the Pikes Peak country of western Kansas Territory and southwestern Nebraska Territory. Neither of those places are Colorado. Okay. Lasted until. Oh, well, that's because Colorado didn't exist. Began in July 1858 and lasted until roughly the creation of the Colorado Territory on February 28, 1861. Okay, so before states, that's why they are known as territories. I knew that. I know a little bit of American history. Anyway, it's located on a mountainside on the top of Left Hand Canyon near the Peak to Peak Highway, State Highway 72, northwest of Boulder at an elevation of 9,450 feet or 2,880 meters above sea level. I didn't realize we'd gone up that much. It didn't really feel like it. Okay, so the town was. I'm not going to read all of this. We're going to jump around a little bit, just basically as my interest wanes or otherwise. Was named for Calvin Ward. Am I related to Calvin Ward? I have no idea. I don't know the history that well, and the only way I know to do something like that is not an ideal. The whole DNA of you heard about 23andMe and all that. I'm not. No. And I assume that's something like that or an ancestry. I have no idea how far back the Ward name goes, but I know that they can't. I don't think it's this kind of Ward. Ward is a fairly popular name, actually. as it turns out, pretty popular. It's like one of the most popular names overseas too. In where was that? I looked that up at some point too, but I don't have that in front of me. Wait, Ward last name Wikipedia, or I could spell it wrong. That's fine. Ward is a sword name. Old English or Old Gaelic origin. Irish variant is O Ward. Yeah, okay. The O Ward. Is that where it was? Irish? The oldest public record is back to 1176. Whew. 79th most common in the 2010 United States Census, but it's more common in the UK, the 40th. The most common surname in Lutterworth. Oh boy, Leicestershire. Leicestershire. It's like Worcestershire sauce, right? Or Worcester sauce. Anyway, it's a very popular last name, so it doesn't surprise me, but I don't think I specifically have roots to that because it's incredibly popular. Anyway, but it was funny. It was a thing. It was Colorado, Ward, Colorado. I thought it would be interesting. So let's look. Boomed after the following year from 1860 on the site known as Miser's Dream. And that leads to a source, which is a book. So we can't just look that up with there. I don't know where Miser's Dream is. That was not somewhere that I saw. Post office was established in 1863. That's kind of neat. Okay, the mines in the area, so there were mines, remained profitable for many decades, with one mine eventually producing over 2 million troy ounces of silver. What's a troy ounce? A fraction of a kilogram? System of units of mass that originated from the Kingdom of England. The troy weight units are the grain, the pennyweight, the troy ounce, and the troy pound. Why is it a troy? Okay. Anyway, that's not really what we're learning about, but you know. The city was incorporated in June 1896. Railroad. Okay, so there was a railroad that reached the area, arriving over the Whiplash and Switzerland Trail, which climbed over 4,000 feet. I do know that there's a train that runs through part of the Rockies and like up and over. I think that's kind of interesting. I looked at that at one point because of where I used to live up in the mountains. There's train tracks there, and I went, do they go through the mountains? Would that steep of the train go on mountain? Train go through mountain? Train go under mountain? Or does train not go at all through that and they like go around mountains? No, train goes. I don't remember. I looked it up at one point. There is actually, you go, yeah, I believe they carved out and you go up into the mountain to get to that. I don't know. I've never ridden the train. It's expensive. But I saw it. We heard it a lot where we lived. We were not far from where the train would be, so we would hear that often up in the mountains. Anyway, let's see. World War II, the town's year-round population dropped to 4 people. Boy, that doesn't surprise me. Wait, jump back. In 1990, over 50 buildings were destroyed by a devastating fire. That's horrible. Profitability of the mines led to immediate rebuilding of the town. Okay, yeah, I didn't see it too much. The town was largely deserted by the 1920s, but the construction of Peak-to-Peak Highway in the 1930s led to a revival of the town. Then World War II happened, dropped to 4 people. In the 1960s, the town population jumped between 10 to 20 year-round students to well over 100 due to the town's interest in hippies. But a citation is needed. And I did read something about that. When I looked this place up and went, oh, hey, what's this place like? I found like Reddit threads, which are not, reliable, but firsthand accounts from people in theory, or maybe not so firsthand accounts of them saying that that was a place you would go to find drugs of manyest kinds up in the mountains. I have no idea if that's true, but anyway, demographics would not surprise me. There's not much going on in Ward, Colorado, and yeah, 2020, 128 people. It seemed like a nice little place. Let's see, can we go to on the map? Why don't we take a look around? I have a couple more places when I just did some searching. That's not, I want to find where we can go drop a pin and kind of look around. I suppose I have to specify. My keyboard working? There we go. So, Ward, Colorado, up here in the mountains. Through everything here. You come down, and we drove right up through there, and we looked around, and this is pretty much it. This is kind of it. This is how I explored it when I went, oh, okay, this is interesting. Let me take a look and see what might be here. And there's a post office and then some little tiny businesses. There's apparently a family dining. I did not go to the Italian restaurant for family dining. It looked nice, but I was in no position to neither afford nor visit such a fine dining establishment. That looks good. Anyway, that's not there would have been a place to eat, but there was also the Mountain Exchange. That was the place that I thought, okay, for sure I could go in there, but I wound up not doing that over the course of the trip. But yeah, people talked about this little place. Does it show like the some of the images, like kind of what they sold there? Cliff bars, trail snacks and things like that, Twinkies and stuff, and a little. Was this a video? Oh, yep, 1 second video of the place. Anyway, let's see. Can we go onto the map now? Yeah, this is kind of what I went, okay, well, so what is this place like? And, there's a store, the Mountain Exchange. I definitely drove past that and thought, oh, that's kind of neat. And then, and looked around and went, okay. And this does look pretty accurate. This was in September last year and we visited in June of this 2025. And yeah, it looks pretty much the same. I remember seeing, I don't know why there's so many broken down cars here. People talked about it. And people also said that they bought, like, I remember reading somebody said, oh, there was a fine art gallery. That would have been cool to go in if I had been doing more. Like, I feel like there can be multiple types of trips. The trip I just took to Colorado Springs was more of a vacation, and that would very much be oh, well, let's go explore. If we'd gone to a place like this, we would have gone into that just to see what it would be like and explore the town. That's what we did in Colorado Springs, a place I've never been to before. This was more of a camping and wildlife trip, and I did not wind up exploring the town, but this is kind of it. Like, you just go up and these are people's houses and like the things that are around here. As far as public things to do, it's trails. There's a lake, and then there's this, and this is pretty much, there's the exchange, so you can go get treats and things like that. It talked about they served breakfast and lunch, I think, and I thought, oh, I could stop in, and it just didn't wind up happening, and that's okay. I'm trying not to beat myself up too much about it by just the fact that we're kind of looking around now. So I found that from Wikipedia. This next one was a link that I found from aboutboulder.com because it's so close to Boulder. I assume people go visiting there. But yeah, Ward, Colorado, the unconventional appeal captivating Boulder residents. It's got a beautiful shot there that I assume is of the lake that we did not make it to. Honestly, it looks pretty similar to the lake that we did go to. No, it's a lot clearer. And I know that there is fishing and, I think, boating at the lake that we didn't make it to, which was, remind me of the name. It was further up with the Brainerd Lake. I wanted to go to Brainerd Lake. Yeah, look at the photos of that, definitely. And this is specifically why we're doing like a horrible camera behind me. I am not just actively out showing this stuff. We're not doing a screen recording because, one, this computer can't handle that, and two, because I don't have permission to be showing this stuff. You should go and visit these websites and look at, and that's kind of the whole point. This is the camera. But anyway, this place has been a magnet for residents and tourists alike. Recent years, a peculiar trend has emerged, an increasing number of Boulderites, is that what they call themselves? Looking towards the quirky charm of Ward, Colorado as a haven from the bustling city life. Okay, so maybe people from Boulder are moving up there. Off the beaten path, population around 150. It's a remote location in rugged terrain, given an air of seclusion and mystery, making it an appealing escape for those seeking a quieter, more unconventional way of life. That's definitely what I was doing. Lack of paved roads. Embrace of an alternative, eco-friendly lifestyle. How old is this article? Oh, June 2024. It's a year old. I didn't realize that. So yeah, Ward Mining. Okay, so this is like a map of the Ward Mining District. I saw Western Mining History in big letters right there. I started reading that. Boulder County Colo. I guess that's for Colorado. I wonder how old this map is. It's interesting it's in two colors for this stuff, and I assume that has to do with the fact of like they've scanned this in from sections that maybe have been restored or had to be updated. That's interesting. But I guess these are all the various mines. So if you were going to go mining in Colorado for like your family as a career in the 1800s, this would be the kind of map where it was like, okay, and you would go to these different places. And this is the creek. Okay, so you'd find your location based off the creek maybe that ran through there. Ward was right there where they've blocked it off for that specifically. Interesting, interesting. Ward played a significant role in the region's mining boom. Traces of the legacy continue to intrigue history enthusiasts and adventurers. Okay, yeah, sure. Well, that's a pretty picture. I guess that's what it looks like in winter. I did not want to try to visit in winter because I figured the snow, and it already said lack of paved roads, so I don't know how much they clear it or if the residents there don't I don't know today in this, age of what it is, what it's like. Maybe we'll oh yeah, look at some of the trees with up in there. I wonder where they took that photo too. Interesting. Very interesting. It was kind of cool looking through this stuff. The answer lies in the town's enigmatic allure and its ability to offer a lifestyle that stands in stark contrast to the fast-paced urban environment of Boulder. It's only a year old. Would this have been AI written? I have no idea. It's depressing, but anyway, let's learn more about the mining, shall we? I did not I did about, here, just to be clear, so everyone's aware exactly what I did. I Googled Ward, Colorado, saw the link, clicked it, went, oh, okay, pictures, yeah, there's probably text here, and done. Grabbed the link, put it in my notes, and we are looking through it live. That's kind of the point of why this is a little bit different. Oh, wow. Wonder how old that photo is. Go away. Active town. Yep, okay, date settled. Ward, Colorado. Boy, do I not have ad block on here? This is a horrible viewing experience when you don't have that. I want some of these. Okay, so is it okay? This was, I think, mostly just for the pictures because these are a lot older pictures of, like, I don't know how old this is, but whenever this would have been taken during winter. It's beautiful. Really cool photo. Yeah, yeah. Check out how these gentlemen are dressed. This is westernmininghistory.com. I don't know if I said that. First stamp mills in the stamp mills? What's a stamp mill? Surely that's not what? I mean, we were looking. It said silver, right? A stamp mill is a type of mill machine that crushes material by pounding rather than grinding. Oh, okay. So that probably would have been, they were in the mountains, they were mining, they were getting the silver and gold, and then they would have had like a processing back. Okay, yeah, sure. Hotel M. Clancy Ward, Colorado, 1899. Yeah, that's not a place anymore, I don't think. Unless that was, I did see a larger building. Maybe they've turned it into something else since then. Is there still one that looks like that? It kind of looks like that church there. Can we get back onto the main road from here? I feel like I saw some building that was similar. Oh, it had a 2-story. Uh, I mean, it said all the buildings were destroyed, right? So I'm probably not going to find exactly this at all. But okay. Anyway, that's pretty cool. Hard times first hit in the early 1870s as hard winters were causing shutdowns of the mines and mills, and the mills were having increasing difficulty processing the complex ores. Oh, okay. Interesting. Milling technology brought the Ward District back to life. I'd like to know what improved milling technology. That would be cool to learn something about that. Horace Tabor, Bonanza King of the Leadville, purchased the Niwot mine in 1888, one of the district's top mines. Okay. Ward, Colorado in 2007. Yeah, there's a little stone. Okay, interesting. Oh, wow. There was a commercial district. There was a fair amount of people. Railroad was built in 1898. Now, there is not a railroad going through there now, I don't think. There might still be. I mean, I don't know why they would have, unless sometimes, wait. A bus stop? Wait, there's a bus that goes through here? At an old depot. I didn't even see this before. This doesn't, that looks like someone's house. that I don't know if the bus still runs here. What's further down here? More, yeah, probably small cabins for, those are very small cabins for renting, I assume. Because, yeah, you turn it into tourists. Commercial district, 2007. That does look pretty familiar. So, yeah, that's kind of similar to what we were just looking at with that, I assume, church. Okay, okay. Colorado towns for Western mining. Yep, yep, yep. Oh, wow. Placer Mines at Cripple Creek, Colo. Is that placed on the image? It looked like, what was that? Go back. That was the end. Okay, so the things are running through. I think that's water. There's a bucket in it. That's got to be water, right? For where they're mining out, and then the water comes down and they're washing stuff. I think this has been added into the image. They stamped it onto the image itself. I mean, 1892, the photo technology they would have had back then. Anyway, let's see. I had one more link here from something I just found very briefly, and I wanted to keep this video kind of brief. Definitely a lot of mining stuff like that. This is ghosttowns.com, talking about Colorado, and this website just looked really old, so I went, oh, interesting. It gives you some information. It has been suggested the town is built on a vein of gold and be raised to mine it. I can't actually okay. I'm gonna have to gonna have to turn this on, unfortunately, even to just view the website. I don't want to take away ad revenue from websites. I do want them to be able to survive, but that legitimately kept me from reading the only little bit. I don't know when the last time this was, but oh, just after the big fire. Can we see that image any bigger? No, we cannot, but it does look like a tiny little image of a town ravaged by fire. That is unfortunate. A photo of Ward courtesy of Kevin Ward. Why didn't I go take photos of Ward? They could have been courtesy of Michael Ward. Yeah. So this was again mostly just the I guess they call it a ghost town because there's just so few people there. I didn't visit the site beforehand. I just wanted to see some of the photos from here, and yeah, there's a lot of really cool old photos of this place. Some of the abandoned buildings. I don't know where this stone structure was because this is now the second thing that we've seen that had just a stone structure, but that was from 2007. I'm guessing, I mean, I really only kind of stayed on this main road when we went through and the peak to peak highway when we went back and forth. I turned around at one point, but yeah. Anyway, they had it, was it, could it, green garage door of that side. Could it be the fire department that they've then rebuilt? Because the fire department now looks like. Wait, where is it? I thought I dropped the pin on the fire department. I drove past the fire department. Or did I? Wait, I may have driven past a different fire department on my way. Where is it? I don't. No. No, that doesn't seem right. Wait. That doesn't seem right. I'm pretty sure. Oh, no. Okay. Never mind. I drove past a different fire department and I saw an actual fire station, like a newer, that maybe that was their original. Maybe they have a small out of this building. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, a lot of old cars, a lot of old, like, but they're not in any shape to drive or anything, right? Why are we not going? Come on. I gotta fix the internet in here. I mean, I'm in a closet. The Wi-Fi reception is terrible for me, and I'm also on the oldest, slowest possible adapter because I don't have wireless on this desktop. So something I'll fix in the future. I guess we'll pivot into that now. Anyway, I wanted to learn about Ward, Colorado because I thought it was neat. A little town that I visited and stayed in for a couple days. I didn't get to do some of the things that I wanted to do, which would have been to visit the mountain exchange, the library, maybe eat at the Italian restaurant. Those were a few things that I just didn't wind up being able to I do while I was on this camping trip, trying to see as much wildlife as possible. Um, and oh, here it is. It's now brown. I think so, depending, unless they painted it in the last year. Okay. So why? Why? I guess that's just it's just to keep the because it's just a stone front. Like you could see behind it, and even some of the photos, there's clearly a building attached. But I think this would have been an original stone wall that was built, and the rest of it clearly must have been destroyed at some point because there were. I keep jumping back. I'm looking at the wrong photos. Where did we see that one? Did I pivot away from that? There it is. Yeah, there was a second stone structure. So these probably were original, built from stone hundreds of years ago, and they have managed to maintain at least the front of this one. And it's probably just somebody's house. That's what a lot of this stuff is. It's not like shops you can go visit, which is another reason why I didn't feel comfortable going around with a camera quite so much and exploring. And, this is just a town. And I read two things about the town. I read, the population or I read about from like people's testimonials, I suppose. Again, it was like a Reddit thread. I read someone going, hey, what's up with this place? And people went, oh, I used to live there. Yeah, it was hippies. There's a lot of people, drugs and things like that. And there were ones who were like, you're not welcome. Don't go there. This is a close-knit community who does not take well to outsiders and fancy city folk. They did not say those words, but that was kind of what it was. And I went, okay, well, those are two very different opinions about, well, not really. I said the drug thing. I mean, some of it was like they're fine because it's a tourist and people go for things like that. And it's because it's within, I think, an hour drive of Boulder. It's not a huge tourist location. People, if you're going to come here, like, you want to talk about one other place that I would like to go visit in a different way. I've done it once already, was up here. Where is it? Estes Park. This is a tourist destination. This is where people go to visit for just drop you right down there. Is this a good spot to? Nope. Where was the place we walked around? I have gone to Estes Park once, and it was very much where is all the... We walked around. There was very much a walking area with shops everywhere. It's probably this road here. How's this one? Yeah, here we go. This is where people go. If they're going to go to Colorado and they're going to go visit Rocky Mountain National Park and Estes Park outside of it, this is the kind of tour. Like, look, it's just shops and shops and shops and food and shops and food and shops. And it was cool. And it was cool to walk around and see this kind of place. This is a very different vibe from, they make their living. The people who live there and the people who work there off of specifically making like living tourism. What was I trying to say? But yeah, this is what I did. I looked around, I was looking, and I went, where could I stay up in the mountains? And let me see. And I see Ward right here. And I went, oh, okay, let me zoom in. And that's what I did. And that's Ward, Colorado. So there wasn't a whole lot for me to learn. I saw some old pictures. That was cool. It was very a mining town. There was a gold rush. Was this all information you could just find on your own? Absolutely. But for me, at least since I didn't go visit and try to talk to locals and because there's that half of it as like, that sounds cool and I want to explore it. And the other half that sounds bothersome and you're going to annoy them. They probably get that all the time from people coming up there. Does that mean you want to be part of that? And the terror of that made me go, I don't know. And so I didn't wind up exploring for multiple reasons. One, we were off-grid camping and I did not have access to freshen up in a way where I would feel bad if I went into someone's shop and I'm the person who's like, oh yeah, okay, so you've been without a shower for a few days. Not so great. And my focus was wildlife more so than exploring and staying. In the future, I would love to do trips where I get a bit of both, where I can go out and explore, and part of exploring and doing the wildlife, and like wildlife separately and exploring a town and exploring wherever it is we've gone to goes around and films and records and things like that. But that didn't happen. And so at the very least, I wanted to research it, what I could find on the internet, with a couple of links and looking around a little bit. There's probably more I could do, but that was probably enough. I wanted to keep this video relatively short. We're almost at half an hour. And I thought it would be interesting to set up so that at least, you can see a bit of what I was doing while I was doing, since I didn't have time to sit down and research. That was something I said at the beginning. This was different. Yeah, I pulled something in here so that you would be able to see the screen and see what it is that I'm working on and doing, because I'm kind of researching live. I grabbed a couple links and went, this looks interesting, and spent maybe 3 minutes in total prep for this video, which is very, very different from what I have used this space to do before, where I've been recording. And maybe we'll do a mix of that in the future, where I would sit at, like, the couple podcasts that I recorded were researched, well more researched than this, as much as I can do on my own, but like probably 10 to 12 hours. Realistically, I think I took Each one of those was probably 4 or 5 days doing 2 or 3 hours at a time, roughly, of like, okay, here's the thought. Now let's research. And we research for a couple hours. And okay, there we go. And then like the next one is kind of refining and picking points out of the like, ooh, just bookmark this, come back to this link later. There's probably good information here. And then a couple more hours doing more research and a couple more hours finding, combing through it. And then like one final over everything of like, okay, now I have ideas of exactly what I want to pull. Let's gather text from everything so I can read it out. And like all of that required a lot of research for those topics. This was one that I didn't do that for. I spent, like I said, maybe 3 minutes going quick search. What should I find about this? Look it up real quick and done. And find the things and kind of scroll through it live. Was that interesting? I have no idea. It was certainly different, and I thought I'd give it a shot. I wanted to learn more about Ward, Colorado. I feel like I was going to do this anyway myself, was to sit through and kind of look at it and look at old photos and look through the stuff, whatever you can just find online, because anyone could find this. That's kind of the whole point of it, right? But if I was going to do it anyway, and I made a whole thing about going and seeing and making videos there on location with that, it would have been cool to do this beforehand and then take the information we just found, talking about the mining town, talking about how old it is, all of the things that I was just kind of glancing over and reading through all of this could have gone into that video along with like footage from the town that I took myself. So maybe the next trip will have something more along that if I can plan it out a little better in advance. But here's the makeup. So at least I feel now that in the puzzle, why did I say puzzle? Of me, the trip going all the way through, the missing piece was the research about the town that I would have either learned hopefully from there or, from looking up online. And there we go. Did that make sense? I sure hope so. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Who knows where the next trip will be, but maybe this will be done a little beforehand. I can talk about the process before we go on the trip and we'll have that information. Or maybe this won't be a video and it'll just be research I've done and then I'll insert it later. I don't know. I'm just messing around and doing whatever I feel like. There we go. Thanks. Bye, everybody.